Disgraced former New York Congressman Anthony Weiner is at it again. This time he sent a photo of his little wiener sitting right next to his clothed but physically erect penis. That's right, Weiner's latest sexting scandal includes a picture of him posing in bed next to his sleeping toddler son, or as at least one critic is saying, ew, 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 ew. The critic, by the way, is me. I'm Steve Green, and this is The Right Angle on the return of Carlos Danger. Gents, I won't bore you with all the details, except to say three things. First, we're still not sure exactly how this latest photo of Carlos Danger in all his glory became public. Second, the conversations between Weiner and his digital paramour got so graphic, at least on his end, she seemed to deflect it, that it featured an obscene emoji hand-drawn by Weiner himself. And third, that the woman, believe it or not, is a Trump supporter and a member of the NRA and has been described by at least one political commentator as wow. That commentator was me. Scott, this Trump angle, it intrigues me. Do you think Weiner was set up?
Well, that would be the obvious conclusion.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm all for coming to conclusions without any facts or justification for those conclusions. But no, I obviously I don't know if that was the case or if it was just a matter of happenstance and something that the media can now rub their hands together gleefully over. But to me, it's you and I have discussed this before. If it weren't real people, if this happened in a movie, it would be comical. But because it actually affects human beings, including a little child, and a woman who, for whatever you think of her political bent and her loyalty to Hillary Clinton, seems to have tried everything possible to save her marriage to this despicable human being, it's, to me, it's hard to find joy in this situation. Not that I think you're finding joy, but I mean, It's sad, it's sick, it's twisted, and I think that it's probably a story that happens all too often across the country. What is fascinating from sort of a psychological viewpoint is how does this guy not get help? How does he resist all the efforts to help him? Because, he lost his seat in Congress as a result of this. He failed to become mayor of New York City because of this. And now, when he's in the midst of probably, it wouldn't be unreasonable to suggest that he'd get some sort of a perk position in the Clinton administration, at least his wife would. And it seems like he is trying to sabotage everything that she does and everything that he does. And there's something seriously wrong here. And the guy, at the very least, they need to take his child away from him to keep him from messing this kid up. But he needs to get help. He needs an inpatient facility for a year.
Something. Yeah, Scott, and I'm glad you mentioned the sadness of this, but you might have missed what I think anyway is the saddest angle, but I'm going to get to that at the end of this. It should probably come as no surprise, but with the second and very public sexting incident, Huma Aberdin, who, by the way, just happens to be Hillary Clinton's top aide, she's separating from her husband, and dear God, I hope taking that child of theirs with her. But this begs the question, Hillary Clinton has been humiliated just as publicly and many more times by her husband. So, Bill, why does Hillary continue to stand by her man?
There's only one answer for this, Steve, and that is that they're a nest of vipers. Honestly, I'm as serious as I can be. You really have to start asking yourself some serious questions about the moral tone of the people in the Democratic Party who are leading this. Now, I'm not going to say that Republicans don't have these kind of lunatics and perverts, but those are weeded out immediately because the press does its job, and guys like Bob Packwood are brought out into the daylight, and then we get rid of them, throw them out of office the way we should. But that doesn't happen with the Democrats. It's yet another example of how the lack of press scrutiny creates the problem, right? When you know you can't be caught, when you know that if you are caught, you're gonna get away with it, people are gonna throw a blanket over it, it's incentive It corrupts you. It's like any other form of corruption. I think Andrew Klavan said it's like the cloak of invisibility in Lord of the Rings. When you can wear the cloak of invisibility or a mask, you'll do all kinds of things that you would never do if you were going to be held accountable for them. So there's a lot here that's kind of interesting in only to illuminate how awful these people are. I mean, as Scott pointed out, it cost him his seat in Congress, cost him potentially the mayoralty of New York City. His wife has been putting up with this for quite a long time now.
Years.
And you'd be tempted to feel sorry for her, and I would too, except for the fact that Huma Aberdin has posted national security, treasonously classified stuff on personal servers, that the whole thing with Hillary Clinton, her relationship with Hillary Clinton, is just one of absolute corruption, one of absolute disdain for the security of the agents in the intelligence community, just disdain for the people of America. She's not exactly, an innocent victim here. She is one of the most awful people that there are. She enables Hillary Clinton to do the things that she does. Huma Aberdin knows. In fact, it's her emails that said that Hillary Clinton is dazed, confused. She's easily startled, that she doesn't know. She is keeping from the American people vital information that pertains to the safety of every single one of us, to put her friend across the line so she can become chief of staff. And then you think about, okay, so those are the Weiners and the Aberdeens. What about the Clintons? Well, that's just one giant mess of sexual depravity and corruption. These things go hand in hand. Scott's, one of the things I learned in the 8 years of doing this show, or 8 or 9 years that I've been doing, almost more than 10 that I've been doing this commentary, is that you behave the way that your colleagues behave. And it took me a while getting used to the moral tone of conservatives for me to raise my moral tone, because I wanted to be worthy of it. I didn't want to look bad in front of my people. But when your people do nothing but cheat on each other, when they do nothing but lie, when they do nothing but steal huge amounts of money, when they don't care about national security, when they hate the country, when they spit on the people that are risking their lives to defend them, then this is what you get. Now, all of this is potentially okay in the private world. People have a marriage, and if the husband does something, you get divorced. We're not talking about private citizens. So what does it take? What does it say about the culture that Anthony Weiner is a part of with his wife and with the Clintons? What does it say about them that after having that kind of tragedy and having that kind of embarrassment, and that press conference with Andrew Breitbart was maybe Andrew Breitbart's greatest moment. Yeah. How do you live through that, right? And then suffer the shame and humiliation of it, and then keep doing it at a critical moment in a critical election when all of these charges of corruption and depravity are going to mean something. I think Scott's right about sabotage. I think it's a sign of a very, 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 very diseased group of people in Washington and New York and Hollywood who all have the same moral code, and they get away with it because they can.
Steve, in case there's a member or a viewer out there from BillWhittle.com who doesn't know this already, when Huma Aberdin was married to Anthony Weiner, the man of the cloth who performed the ceremony was none other than the Reverend Bill Clinton. He was actually the pastor, so to speak, at their wedding, and one should have known at that point that was not a propitious beginning.
He's a godly man, Bill Clinton.
Maybe man of the cloth is generous. Man of the dress would be better.
Man of the sheets. Yeah, well, there you go.
And whatever you want to call it, I just call it a tell. Folks, it's easy to point and laugh and make tons of jokes at Weiner's expense. I know because I made my share, and then I had to make Scott's share because he's too nice about things like this. But I do want to get serious because it's obvious that Anthony Weiner is a middle-aged perv with a serious problem, the kind of guy you would never want anywhere near your teenage daughter. But there might also be two sides to this story. I want to go back to April and how Huma described the first time she met her husband. She told an interviewer, and this is a quote, "You know these things that happen in your life that just stick? He walked by and he shook my hand and our eyes connected. And I just remember having this moment where I thought, wow, this is amazing." And then she went on to say, and it just inspired me. I still remember the look on his face. And it's funny, he would probably be so annoyed that I say this, but I remember thinking, oh my God, he's just so handsome. Except, folks, that's not what she said about her husband. I changed the pronoun from she to he, and I changed beautiful to handsome. But those quotes are what Aberdeen said when she first met her boss, Hillary Clinton. It's obvious, to me anyway, that Aberdeen is in love with somebody who isn't her husband. And if this scandal marks the end of their marriage, well, maybe it's the best thing for the both of them. And that is The Right Angle on Anthony Weiner and Huma Aberdin, made possible by the paying members of BillWhittle.com. Our thanks to them for their sponsorship, and our thanks to you for your time. We'll see you again.